Hello, thank you for joining me for what is supposed to be the first card. Well, it's not supposed to be, it is the first card in our next series of card classes. I know that it's incredibly late, things have just gotten away from me, but you will have all 4 of these cards done by the end of the month, so stay tuned. This month I'm working with the Inspiring Imperfections bundle and the Kintsugi Inspirations DSP. So some really pretty cards coming out of that. I did do a stamp camp with Jan Clothier and Julia Quinn using this bundle. If you want to join that, let me know, because you can still join that stamp camp. It is over, but we can just add you to the group, let you have the tutorials. I do have a couple of kits if anybody wants, so just reach out to me and you can join or make up your own kits. Virtual only option, $35. Okay, so this is the card that we're going to make today. It is one of those bookbinder cards. I don't know, I keep coming back to them. They just are really effective cards. So starting off, we're going to score my card base at 10.5 and 14.9 centimeters. If you're working in inches, that's going to be 4.25 and, sorry, brain just suddenly went on the fritz, 5.5 inches. Okay, and then we're not finished scoring yet, so just think about this. So if we're going directionally, this is my card, okay, it's folding like that. So I now want to score 1 centimeter from that score line. Okay, so I'm going to put that at 9.5 centimeters, and we're going to score there, and then 1 centimeter along the bottom, all the way back to that first 10.5 centimeter score line. And I want one more score line, which is going from that central score line, well, it's not central, but that 10.5 centimeter score line, to my bottom corner of my card. Okay, now that's all our scoring done. Oops, nearly knocked something over. And then what we're going to do is we're going to fold this down. I've just scored that wrong. Okay, we're doing another score line. Don't pay any attention to what I just showed you. We're going from that second score line down to the bottom corner, okay, because I actually want to be able to see those score lines. So not from that first one, from the second one. And I know that my instructions don't say that, but they will by the time I put them up. Okay, I have not scored this very nicely at all. I want it to sit. How do I want this to... Okay, we're going back to the original score line, and the problem here is that I told you to score in the wrong place. Okay, so sorry, some days we just have these kind of things. So we're going to score, try this again, okay, at 1 centimeter, but it's going across the top of the card, okay, to that original score line, and then we're going along the right hand side of the card all the way down. And if you're working in inches, that's going to be 3/8 of an inch. Okay, so that's what I want, where we're actually seeing that score line there. Okay, now I nearly knocked everything over. Okay, hopefully now I'm done with making a mess of things, and we're going to run smoothly from now on. I will make sure that the tutorial instructions actually say that very clearly, and then we're going to stick that down. And this was supposed to be a really easy card to make, but it looks like I made it ultra complicated. And now we're going to stick that piece down as well. I obviously made this card quite a while ago and haven't gone back to it, so I haven't had a refresher course on how to make it. Alright, now we're taking my Petal Pink mat, and I have a strip of DSP, and we're just going to stick that DSP onto that mat. Taking a piece of ribbon. This is that, I think it's called gold striped mesh ribbon. Can't remember. It's in the Celebrity Sips suite, but I love this ribbon. Okay, and just a glue dot on the end. And we're gonna wrap it around this piece. Grab another glue dot. And then we're gluing this mat onto the front of our card. Alright, now I've got my Petal Pink square mat, and I've embossed a piece of basic white. So we're just going to stick that onto the mat. And then this is going to stick onto the card. Now originally when I was doing it, I wanted to stick it so that you were seeing those score lines, but it didn't work because it just looked like it was sitting in the wrong place. I had it like that. So we're actually going to stick it so that the left side and the bottom are along those score lines. So just be careful when you're sticking. You don't want glue where it's sticking the card together, so just make sure that you get the glue on the right side. If you don't, this doesn't really matter. You can just turn it over and there's not a right side and a wrong side to the embossing folder, so that makes it a little bit easier. And while we're sticking, let's just glue. So I've got another strip of the DSP for the insert, and I'm actually just wondering whether I want that same as we put there. Otherwise we could flip it over and use the reverse side. Let's use the reverse side this time. Stick that right along the edges. And then that's going inside the card. we just need some decorations for the front. So I've die cut one of the cups in my petal pink cardstock, and I just want a scrap of paper to stamp on. I'm going to stamp my sentiment onto the cup, and I'm doing this with Misty Moonlight ink. Hopefully I'm going to get it straight. Kind of. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a little bit of embossing. I always like to use my embossing buddy, and I'm stamping these cracks in the Versamark ink, and there's no specific way that I'm stamping them. I'm just sort of going, and that's why we want to stamp the sentiment first, because otherwise it's going to be difficult to have the sentiment oops, smudged that. Okay, with the embossing already done. And now just grabbing some clear embossing powder, and we're going to throw that over. Alright, so just bear with me for a couple of seconds because I just want to heat set that. Mine is still a really old heat gun, and sometimes it gets really hot. That felt like it was burning my fingers. Now I've die cut two of the flowers from the Designer Series paper. Makes it easy. If you wanted to, you could stamp them, but I'm just die cutting them, and we're going to just put a tiny bit of glue on the leaf and on the stem so that I can stick that it's popping out of the cup. And you can angle it however it makes you happy. And we're going to do the same with this one. There we go. A couple of dimensionals, maybe more than a couple. And we're just going to stick those onto the front of our card. I don't know why my computer is dinging like that. Hopefully it's not too distracting. And then I just want a piece of the ribbon, and we're going to tie it around here. So fake knot. I much prefer doing it like this because I just found that if I try and tie a knot around it, I can never get the tension of the ribbon right. So I always just go and add an extra piece afterwards, and you can pull it that the ribbon is sitting in whichever direction you want, or whichever direction it wants to go, as the case may be. And then we just need some decoration, so I'm putting one right in the corner there where we've got those two score lines crossing, and then just a couple there. Okay, so there we go. Pretty card, and after a lot of confusion, which hopefully you know what not to do now, we're done with our first card for the series. So I will be back either on Monday or possibly Tuesday. I'm having stitches out of my eye on Monday, so that might need to change, but I will be back either Monday or Tuesday for the next card. So have a great weekend, and I will see you next week. Until then, bye for now.